Hello viewers, you're watching India Today Global with me Shita Mitra, and at this hour we bring you the biggest story from around the globe. And as always, I'm being joined by editor Pranay Upadhyay. Now today the story we're going to decode is about this Pakistani man called Shaz Khan. He's been extradited from Canada to the US and he's facing the charges of plotting attacks against Jews in New York City. Now it's a crucial case because it involves Pakistan, the issue of rise of anti-Semitism, and also Canada. So we're going to decode this case today, and let's begin with the fact, what is the case all about? Who is this man and how did he get caught?
He's a Pakistani national who entered Canada and sought asylum in Canada with the pretext of his sexual orientation. He thought he made a plea that same-sex marriages are banned in Pakistan, and therefore he should be given asylum in Canada. So he entered the Canada on pretext of this and sought political asylum. But he was also harboring this anti-Semitism or like anti-Jew sentiment. He wanted to carry out a mass shooting on the first anniversary of 7th of October Hamas attack on Israel. So around 7th of October 2024, he was scheduled to enter the United States and carry out a mass shooting attack on Brooklyn Jewish Community Center in New York. But he couldn't enter because he was caught like around 12 miles away from the US-Canada border in Quebec area of Canada. And he was caught, he was tried, he was caught by RCMP, which is the Royal Mounted Canadian Police. And they have tried him. The court has given him a sentence. But the United States wanted to investigate it further because he wanted to, he was already on the watch list because he was propagating the ISIS radical ideas on social media. His Facebook posts were being monitored and were flagged by the Canadian and the US authorities and agencies. So in this case, now his extradition is happening because his first hearing after his extradition will be happening on 11th of June, that is today, in United States. So these are the broad facts of this case is concerned.
All right, but this is not the first, first of a kind incident we have seen in the US. We've seen, with the rise of anti-Semitism, a lot of incidents against Jews have been taking place. We reported on 2 Israeli staff members getting killed in the United States. We have Colorado incidents as well. So if you could, also explain to our viewers how this series of incidents have been taking place in the US and also around the world, and how do you look at this pattern, targeted attacks against Jews?
Actually, a lot of polarization happened after the 7th of October terror incident. We call it terror incident because that was in all, classical ways you can say it. It was a terror attack launched on the Israeli soil where the innocent people were targeted. Innocent people were murdered and killed and abducted. Thereafter, Israel initiated a military operation against Hamas operatives in Gaza, and thereafter, the history. Whatever has happened in recent past.
Which is still going on.
Which is still on. So it has polarized. Many people in the United States think that US should not have supported, US could have exercised its influence on Israel, and Israel should have been contained as far as the operation is concerned, because many innocent people have lost their life in Gaza, because not every one of them is a Hamas operative. There are common civilians are also there, common citizens are also there, and they are caught in that crossfire between Hamas or the Palestinian, the PIJ, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, and Israeli forces. IDF wanted to crush these individuals, all these outfits, and therefore many people caught in between. So this has also polarized opinion in the US and other parts of the world as well. So we have seen the student protests, there have been a lot of sentiments, there have been crackdowns as well in the university campus. But thereafter, Donald Trump came in power and he said that nothing doing, this cannot be tolerated. We stand by this as far as the US policy is concerned. We stand by Israel. We want to have peace. We want to broker a peace formula between Hamas and Israel, but we cannot stop giving aid to Israel, which many people in US were demanding. And many people in the Islamic world also think that if Israel is carrying out all these operations, this would not have happened without the US aid. And that's why they hold US responsible. This is the general sentiment in the Islamic world. Many people think, and especially Pakistan's case is a very curious case as far as Israel, US, and this entire relation angles are concerned.
Nexus is concerned, yes.
Not exactly nexus, Ishita. This is like every country has their own national interest, and you pursue foreign policy based on your own foreign policy priorities, your own national interest. But as far as Pakistan's case is concerned, Pakistan does not recognize Israel. Secondly, as we were mentioning that day as well, that Pakistani passport has clear mention that this is not valid in Israel. So anyone who's coming from Pakistan thinks that Israel is an illegitimate state. Israel should not have existed. If someone, be it on any part of the world, that person travels, he would have the same sentiment against the Jewish people and the Israeli state. So this guy, heavily influenced by the radical thoughts, radical ideas, he was not only influenced, but he was also propagating the same ideas. And he used the Canadian soil, the freedom and civil liberties available on Canadian soil for anyone, those who immigrate as well. So he tried misusing that. He hatched a plan. We do not know all the facts as far as this case is concerned, because who all were other individuals part of this plan? Was he the only one involved in this case? He wanted to carry out a lone wolf attack or organized, a terror plot. We do not know most of the facts. But as far as his case is concerned, he wanted to carry out mass shooting with an automatic weapon. He wanted to procure a weapon in United States, and he was caught with lot of radical, literature. So thereafter, as far as this case is concerned, this is a case of concern for the United States, because, as you mentioned, there have been instances of Jewish community being attacked in Washington, D.C., which is the capital of the United States. There, 2 of the Israeli embassy staffers lost their life. We have seen, Colorado incidents where, there was a mass killing incident.
Yes.
There also, the Jewish community, especially those who were raising their demands to, the release of Israeli hostages in the custody of, or in hostages with the Hamas. So that's why it's a matter of concern. The rising in anti-Semitism is a matter of concern for the United States. That's why the US agencies are also pursuing every lead, whatever they have in their hand, and they want to prosecute these individuals. And that's why this extradition, which has happened as far as this case is concerned, Muhammad Shaz Khan alias Shahzad Jadon case is concerned. So we may see further leads as far as this case, and we may see whether the other individuals are also involved or not.
Another question which is not directly related to this story, but do you think Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's, this vow to wipe off Hamas, do you think it is doing more harm than good at this point, with the war being stretched out and with the kind of incidents we are seeing around the world?
Benjamin Netanyahu is also facing a lot of criticism
back at home,
back at home in Israel as well. Many people are still protesting. They want their people to be released. They want their hostages back. And they do not want a full-fledged war against Hamas or Gaza, or wiping out Gaza, as far as the common people are concerned. But you see the political spectrum of Israel is concerned, and the political equation of Israel is concerned. Benjamin Netanyahu is running a minority government. He would lose his political equity and his political capital if he is seen as making any compromise with Hamas. He took that vow. He might have thought that he would be able to carry out an operation and wipe out Hamas, but it didn't happen.
But the recruitment happened so rapidly in
recruitment
Gaza.
Happened, and wiping out 20 lakh people is not possible.
Exactly.
So whatever he might have vowed, but it didn't happen. And since it didn't happen, despite having so long military operation in Gaza with a brief intermittent ceasefire,
yes.
But ceasefire is also not working as far as the peace brokerage is concerned. Qatar mediated peace process is concerned. Egypt also came in between. They also wanted to broker a peace. There is after a breakdown of the ceasefire, there was a renewed military operation by the Israeli defense forces in Gaza. So the situation still remains tense. the situation remains tense politically as well for Benjamin Netanyahu. We have yet to see that, whether he survives this thing or not, because his political capital is at stake.
Yeah. All right. Now coming back to the story that we were discussing, you mentioned Canada as well. So New Delhi has been raising these concerns, for the past few years now, that Canada allows its soil to be used, to be misused by anti-social elements. We have seen, a lot of Khalistani supporters getting safe haven in Canada. And then this individual was also caught near the border. How do you look at that situation, in the case of India, and with the way Canada has not shown that willingness to help India's case?
Ishita, we have recently seen the visuals of Tahabur Hussain Rana, who also has a connection from Pakistan, Canada, US, and India, because he was one of the perpetrators or involved with the perpetrators of 26/11 terror attack carried out on the Indian soil. He's a Pakistani-born Canadian national who was caught from Chicago, and he was part of David Headley and the LET group which hatched this 26/11 terror attack. So he was recently extradited in February 2025 from US to India on India's extradition request. As far as Canada's case is concerned, you rightly mentioned that many individuals, many separatist elements, many anti-India elements are there on Canadian soil. This remains a problem as far as the Western attitude against terrorism is concerned, Ishita. They often exercise double standard.
Yes.
If anything which is related to the security of the United States, that take precedence. That is important. But anything which is related to the security of India, you have to plead your case, you have to shout, you have to make your case, and they may agree, they may not agree. And this is the irony. This is the irony because India, probably the first country to raise on the platform of the United Nations way back in late 90s, when the then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee went to United Nations and said that this distinction, this attitude of making distinction between your terrorist and my terrorist
has to go
away, and this is going to hurt you as well. Just wait for that. And that subsequently happened, the 9/11 attack. US recognized that thing. And then they also came when Hillary Clinton, when she visited Pakistan, she said that if you hatch snakes in your backyard and if you think that they are not going to bite you, then you are living in your own la-la land.
So do you think the situation could change, with the new Prime Minister coming in the Canada?
We are yet to see. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is likely to visit Canada. There will be a bilateral meeting. He has expressed an intent to have improved relationship with India. But there has to be a systemic change as far as the attitude is concerned, as far as the response is concerned. India is still waiting for the justice of Kanishka bombing. The Air India aircraft which went in, blown up in air. So we have still, and those of the citizens, those who lost their life in that Kanishka bombing were mostly Canadian citizens.
Yes.
But since they were of Indian origin, then nobody pursued their case. That case is still on. I myself have asked the Canadian authorities. I wrote a letter to email to them asking about the status of this case, and they said that investigation is still on. Even after 40 years, the investigation is still on. So how long will it take? And
had this been some other country, definitely we could have seen a different situation.
Even if would have been a case involving white individuals, citizens of Canada or US or UK. This incident happened in Ireland. The bombing happened around the coast of Ireland. World saw those visuals. US authorities were also involved in that case, as far as retrieval of those bodies and the aircraft parts are concerned. So this all happened. But coming back to the Canada point, Aishita, I would also like to mention that not only Tahabur Hussain Rana, Faisal Shehzad, he was also a Pakistani national, caught for the plan of hatching a plan of a Times Square car bombing case way back in 2010. There was also a case of Afia Siddiqui. Afia Siddiqui was a girl who was of Pakistani, she was Pakistani national, and this Afia Siddiqui was caught in 2008 to 2010 for hatching a terror attack in US all these individuals. This Faisal Shahzad, he entered the United States on a student visa.
Okay.
But he wanted to carry out this terror attack after the Charlie Hebdo case. Tahir Hussain Rana was also involved in the Charlie Hebdo case and the Danish newspaper case. All these things, so they come up with that radicalized mindset. They use civil liberties available in this free world, the free Western world, be it United Kingdom, be it US, be it Europe, be it Canada. So they misuse the civil liberties available for the citizens there, and they use it for not good. They want to carry out terror attack, and they start working against the same state which gave them so-called asylum, space, and opportunity to grow and live there peacefully.
And now we are seeing a response to that. Canada is also making its immigration policies more stringent. We also have Donald Trump.
They have to, Ishita, they have to. Every country has to do some measures at least, because in the name of immigration, if radicalized people are coming.
Exactly.
And this is the same point. Government of India a few years ago, and also subsequently there upon regular correspondences in that regard, that harboring, I remember talking to one of the senior diplomat of India, and he said that we have specifically written to all these countries that it's not about India alone, but these individuals, these radicalized people, if they are carrying out such inimical activities against India, on one count they are harming our friendship between, say, about Germany and India, Australia and India, UK and India. Besides that, they are also posing risk to your own citizens.
Yes.
They are part of your civil society. They are part of your country. So now you should be taking it seriously. This is not about them taking stand against India, but this is about the safety, security, law and order of your own citizens.
All right, exactly. Now coming back to the case, because you mentioned that this person concerned in the case is linked to ISIS, and US authorities have also mentioned that how the threat of ISIS remains credible at this point. How do you look at this? We thought maybe the threat was limited to certain areas now, but we've seen over the years it has been rising, and also the way they've been using internet for recruitment. So how do you look at this emerging pattern now?
Terrorism is there. All these terror outfits, they just change their name. So be it Al-Qaeda, be it ISIS, the Al-Qaeda Arabian Peninsula,
yes,
you mentioned its name today, AQAP. And some individual came and he started threatening the Elon Musk, Donald Trump, JD Vance, and who not. Maybe they could be attention seekers. But these terror outfits, they run their parallel underground network. Yes. We know after 9/11, 26/11, IC-814, because if you see the previous terror attacks, there was a clear link, and there are consequences. Whenever you overlook these kind of pattern, these kind of terror incident, when you do not investigate and when you do not take concrete action against these terror incidents, then you are bound to face another terror attack. We have seen.
You need to fill the loopholes.
Had US authorities would have taken some steps after IC-814 case, they might have prevented the 9/11 terror attack, because same individuals were there were certain individuals, those who got trained with these hijackers, and they were involved in 9/11 terror attack.
So the cost of looking away is very high.
Absolutely, the cost of looking away is very high, and there is absolutely the distinction between gone are those days when US or anyone used to make the distinction between good Taliban, bad Taliban, good terrorist, bad terrorist, my terrorist, your terrorist, my terrorist is your freedom fighter. No. You can't make this distinction.
Exactly.
Because ultimately these terror outfits, they run all sorts of illegal businesses. They are into drug business, they are into human trafficking, they are into illegal weapon trade and whatnot. And now with the advent of, since you mentioned about the social media, yes, they use social media. They use various platforms for the radicalization, recruitment, even with the advent of cryptocurrency and in the blockchain technology, they are also misusing that. So they are funneling money, they are collecting money, they are channelizing that money. From where the money to procure weapons is coming? Who's funding them? So there is a parallel network, and there has to be a concerted, unified effort for that.
Exactly.
That's why India has been raising this issue of comprehensive convention against terrorism for years. But world has already paid a huge price of not heeding to this demand and overlooking this problem. And that's why we say that we have a policy of zero tolerance against terrorism. And there cannot be a distinction between my terrorism and your terrorism.
And
if these terrorists, and if Pakistan, take the case of Pakistan, if Pakistan says that they are victims of terrorism, they have lost 90,000 people in terror attack. They are the one who face maximum number of terror attack. But still you have Hafiz Saeed, still you have Masood Azhar, still you have...
and you continue to help them.
You continue to help them. You are not taking any action. You have seen that, recent interview of Shari Rahman facing question by Yalda Hakim on Sky News. She asked specifically questions that why haven't you taken any action against these individuals? If these are the proscribed entities, if they are the proscribed terror organizations, then why didn't you take any action against these individuals? Why are they roaming free? Why are they around?
Exactly. Why are you funding their terror hubs in Urid now? They're
so this remains
the
a bigger question. This is not about America's case. This is not about anti-Semitism. This is not about anti-India Semitism. This is about the problem of terrorism.
And how India and world has to tackle that now.
World has to change their attitude towards the issue of terrorism, and that's why we kind of undertook this global outreach and tried explaining the world yet again that this is also yet another opportunity for you to take action. We should see that, Pakistan Army Chief General Asim Munir is likely to visit US most likely on 14th of June. This is what we are learning from our sources, that he's set to visit United States. We should see that whether he should be held accountable for
what kind of reception he receives.
What kind of reception he receives there, and will there be any question from him? Because this is not a hidden fact. It is an open fact that Pakistani army had its own connivance with these terror entities. They harbored. There has been candid admissions, not by any author or not by any expert, but these admissions came from those who ran Pakistan, like General Pervez Musharraf or Pakistan politician, even the current sitting defense minister,
former external affairs minister.
Absolutely. So many people.
All right, well, this was the crux of the latest case in which Shaz Khan has been involved, and it has raised the larger question of how the world is going to tackle this problem of growing terrorism around the world. Thank you so much for tuning in with us on India Today Global. Stay tuned to our channel where we simplify geopolitics for you.